Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. If at this time everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and right after we do 10 seconds of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Deanne, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bond?
Here.
Commissioner Hanna?
Here.
Commissioner McCall?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hausberg?
Here.
Mayor Kennedy?
Here. Thank you, Deanne. Our presentations begin with Pinellas County Sheriff's Office. Do we have a presentation tonight? I always like to tell when we have someone people in the audience that if you come 15 minutes before the meeting and you'd like to talk privately to the sheriffs, you can do so at that time. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm Corporal Kelman of the Sheriff's Office. These are the November 2020 stats. There were 715 calls of service, resulting in 12 people being arrested for 5 felony arrests, including domestic strangulation, possession of drugs, and felony probation. There were 235 traffic stops, 0 crashes, 66 illegal parked vehicles, 32 suspicious people, and 18 noise complaints. I know some of the residents wondered that from last month. The New Year's Eve fireworks detail went off without a hitch. There weren't very many fireworks. There was one incident on the beach where a couple residents set fire to a couple Christmas trees on the beach and on a bonfire. The FD came out and put it out very quickly, and that's it.
Does
Any
anyone
questions?
have any questions at this time? Hearing none. Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Sorry you had to deal with that. At this time, we're going to go to public comment. 3-minute time limit per speaker. Any member of the audience may come up. You're exactly right. District Chief, if you'd like to come up. I know you didn't want to do that, right?
No, I'm already getting out of it. Hi, I'm Chief Best with Pinellas County Fire Rescue. I'm a district chief on A shift at the position where I'm a chief, but I still run calls day to day. Just a little overview of who I am. I'm going to give you a quick report for December and then summarize the year. We ran in December 63 calls for emergencies with an average response time of 4 minutes and 49 seconds, which is well below the county's required average. Of those calls, our ALS response times were 4 minutes and 40 seconds, and our BLS response times were 6 minutes and 5 seconds. There's a disparity there usually because a lot of the BLS calls, which are basic, sick person kind of calls, they downgrade the response, so the response times are a little bit longer. We don't run emergency to all those; it's a public safety thing. Our average involved time on each call was 34 minutes and 24 seconds in the month of December, and with an average turnout time of 1 minute from the time we received the call to get wheels turning toward the call. For the entire year, for the city of Indian Rocks, we ran 853 calls. Our average turnout time for the year was 58 seconds, which is well below the county requirements. ALS response times 4 minutes and 48 seconds, and BLS response times were 5 minutes and 15 seconds. And overall, for the year, our average involved time on these calls were 30 minutes and 30 seconds. That's really all I have, unless there's any questions.
Any questions?
You guys are making this easy on me. Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
With that, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, public comment. 3-minute time limit per speaker. Any member of the audience may come forward, give their name and address, and state any comment or concern that they may have regarding any matter over which the City Commission has control, excluding agenda items. All statements made to the City Commission shall be made to the City Commission as a whole, not directed to any individual City Commission member, and no personal or slanderous remarks shall be permitted. No speaker shall be interrupted, and no debate shall occur between the speaker and the City Commission. Please state your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Diane Daniel, 309 10th Avenue, Indian Rocks Beach. I've owned property here for 15 years and I've lived on and off in the area since the 1970s. I rent out my house when I'm not here. Regarding my guests, I'm super strict, I keep a low occupancy, and I have a self-imposed 1-week minimum stay. I'm speaking to you today to briefly share my experiences because they highlight several points about short-term rentals not related to party houses. For 15 years, I owned 3 condos in a small 5-unit building on 14th Ave. I rented 2 of them year-round, and the one I used I rented short-term. The other 2 of the 5 are owned by a man who runs his as short-term rentals with up to 4 guests in a small 1-bedroom. My year-rounders had various issues with the short-term renters, including noise and unleashed dogs. These were not police-level problems, just annoying ones. The owner of the short-term rentals seemed mostly concerned about his Airbnb reviews and spoke about them often. If I said anything to his short-term renters, the owner said I was jeopardizing his business. He threatened to sue me on a few occasions. Finally, one of my year-rounders had had enough. She loved her apartment but hated the problems with short-term renters. My business was in fact being hurt, plus I felt personally awful about her. Also, how could I ethically bring in a new renter with these ongoing issues? Things became so negative that I decided to sell my condos a year ago, which was not in my plans. The buyer, who paid cash, turned my year-round stock into short-term rentals. Although they immediately started renting out the units, they were not compliant with the IRB ordinance until a few weeks ago. As for the other owner, the one I had issues with, he continues to rent his units without compliance, as he's done for several years. He also owns another multi-unit building of short-term rentals that is not compliant. And yes, the city's been aware of this. So, to summarize, here are a few issues that my one experience highlights. 1, year-round residents are moving out, as we know. 2, some, maybe many, short-term rental owners focus more on their reviews and their own business needs than the needs of the community. 3, vacationers and residents inherently have different sets of priorities. It's a fragile mix. And 4, the 2018 ordinance either isn't being enforced, has no teeth, or both. So when new rules are added to the books, will they be enforced? I hope that your proposed solutions coming up soon address these concerns and more. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up at this time?
Hi, Sharon Strang, 441 20th Avenue, and I'm pretty much on the same thing. We would like to hear from you guys. What's being done? Has the fire department got involved going through these houses to see if they're compliant with the rules? Do they have sprinklers? Do they have exit signs? All this can be done through our fire department. Also, I sent you an email on all this stuff. The Pinellas County, have they started doing building inspections? Because I know for sure there's a lot of these homes where the bedrooms, they claim they're 3 bedrooms and they're like 6 bedrooms. The bottom's built out. They got bedrooms down there. Can we start looking into this? I mean, these are things that should be done, and we would like to hear about it.
Thank you. Thank you for your email, Sharon.
You're welcome.
Hey, Tony.
Tony Trabuzio, 415 Harbor Drive South. What she just outlined is exactly the same as what I'm seeing across the street. 414 Harbor Drive South. Excuse me. 414 Harbor Drive South, I know for a fact, was built out on the bottom floor without permits years ago. And the rental is advertised sleep 16, off-street parking for 8. Okay, so that's something we're going to look into, and we're going to make sure that they comply with the permitting and the ordinances that are supposed to be allowed. I just had impact windows put in. I got a permit, everything inspected. Is this something that one of these ordinances that we're going to impose is going to make this happen, or we're going to start regulating what's going on in the neighborhood as far as building codes go?
We don't have a response back with you, but what I will say is that is part of the things that we are working on for the January 24th, okay?
I'm not prepared tonight, but I just heard what you said, and I just want to let you guys know, and you guys all, I've emailed you,
Right,
know what I'm looking at here, so.
thank you.
It's something that on the 24th, we're gonna address, is that
Yes,
correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you, sir. Anyone else who'd like to come up at this time? Hi.
Hi, Stacy Conti, 735 First Street.
And I'm Betsy Tinnerman, I'm her business partner.
Okay.
We are both multifamily investors, and I think it's just important, I hear the residents' concerns with people that aren't complying and obeying, but outside of 735 First Avenue at Indian Rocks, which is an Airbnb, we have several projects where we work with PERC, the Prison Reentry Program, we work with the Homeless Initiative. We're actually doing a tour in Tampa that there's gonna be 210 people at, where we're giving back to the community. And I just think the stigma that Airbnb owners and investors all are not following the rules. Because we do follow the rules on our projects, we do monitor the guests, we do not like over advertise. And so I think it's just important for people to hear that I'm not denying that on Airbnb or with investors that maybe they are just worried about their reviews. However, there are people like Stacy and myself, and that is not our primary concern. We also are both divorced single mothers who started over financially. We started with $0 when we started our company, and we've raised capital, we've done things the right way, we've worked with Hillsborough. We just were featured in the New York Times recently for a project that we did in Lakeland, where we put 3 different tenants in there that all needed housing, which has become a big problem. So I think that the stigma on multifamily investors and Airbnb hosts or owners is just kind of being portrayed as a whole instead of being looked at on an individual basis. So we're supportive of like rules being put in place and people being asked to comply, but I think that it's not, shouldn't just be stigma to one type of investor.
Yeah, actually, oh my God.
So I think that,
Do you both have the same address? I just wanna.
Yeah, we have
make
the
sure.
same address.
Okay, because I'm.
Yeah.
Okay.
so I think it's just important to know that I don't think it's like a plea for help or whether someone's successful or not, but we are doing like really great things in different communities. And this is our entire source of income, is how we run our business, is redeveloping space in communities and the rentals that we do own.
And I would like to add the current regulations that are in place, I know I follow, and if we could work together to have everyone follow the current regulations, that would solve the problems. The concern I hear
Please.
the concern I hear from the residents is mostly about noise and over occupancy. So if we could follow the current rules that are in place, I think that would solve a lot of the issues. And personal feelings put aside, if you're not a supporter of short-term rentals, you're entitled to that opinion, but that doesn't mean that everyone has to agree with you. And I'd like to share a letter actually from someone that they wrote about the situation. I own a short-term rental also in Fort Myers Beach, which was devastated by Hurricane Ian.
Your time is up, and there's no more time for you to talk.
Do we get 3 each?
You came up as
There's
one.
Oh, we didn't know that, sorry.
Since it's one, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Linda Newton, 438 Harbor Drive North, Indian Rocks Beach. I bought my forever home here in 2003, and I've enjoyed meeting my neighbors, being part of events, volunteering, been on the board of directors of the Beach Arts Center, and it being a very nice neighborhood. Right now, though, I don't understand. In June of 2011, the state of Florida took away your home rule. Florida is a home rule state. That meant the cities could decide who could live in what neighborhoods. And I'm zoned single family. That's where I thought I was gonna live, in a single family. As you just heard, they're a business. And businesses have been outbidding anybody like me that could come to Indian Rocks Beach and buy a home. If I put an offer on a house, a business group is gonna outbid me and turn that into a rental. And I saw this fungus grow in 2021. It's unbelievable. Anyway, I don't know how the state of Florida did that to y'all, I think we were grandfathered in for 3 months in my neighborhood if there was a rental. And I think if you think back, Detroit always came down and the people retiring down here would rent the 3 months and then eventually buy a home and retire here. That has disappeared because they can't come and afford that anymore. Anyway, I just wanted to reflect on that, and I still wonder how we lost our 3-month rental without any notification, and even the state of Florida without any notification to anybody and any resident, not just in Pinellas County, all over the state of Florida. We lost our rights, and I feel for that. It's not about what's happening now and what rule is going to be this or that. It's what we had taken away. I live in a single-family residence, and I will not let my grandchildren out to even go to Brown Park anymore. And they used to go there themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward at this time? Please come forward. Hi, Kelly.
Good evening. Hi. Kelly Sisternick, 448 Harbor Drive South. I suspect you're going to be getting a lot of emails in the next couple of weeks about vacation rental regulation. As you weigh the best ways to regulate transient rental properties or vacation rentals, as they're commonly known, I want to emphasize that these properties are commercial businesses. They have been granted a non-conforming legal use in residential neighborhoods due to state preemption. And our city has the ability to treat them different than residential properties. When these businesses begin paying federal income tax, state sales tax, and county bed tax, they surely know they're running a business. And when these businesses apply for their Indian Rocks Beach business tax receipt, they're agreeing to abide by our city's rules. Our city has stated goals at the beginning of our zoning chapter. The stated goals are to protect, promote, and improve the public health, safety, and general welfare of the people. That's the language used at the beginning of Indian Rocks Beach's Section 110 zoning chapter. There's nothing in there about the ability to maximize profit. The city can and should treat vacation rentals differently. We are allowed to have separate ordinances just for vacation rentals to control things like amplified outdoor music and the number of parking places allocated to the business. This is similar to how we regulate bars, hotels, and restaurants. So please don't be coerced into believing that vacation rentals are the same as residences, or that vacation rentals can self-regulate and handle this themselves because certain ones are good managers. So, thank you for all your tough efforts on this and your patience, and I look forward to seeing you on the 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Don.
Hey. Don House 2104 Beach Trail. I never thought y'all would be happy to see me. I'm not here about that control. I do own 20 houses, something like that, but they're all in Pasco and I don't run short term. So I don't care about that at this particular meeting. What I do care about is that the other day there was about 6 or 7 electric bicycles going down the beach. I don't know what you call 6 or 7 electric bicycles. It's a herd, a pod, a murder, or just plain dangerous or whatever. But the last time I brought this up, the city attorney said couldn't do anything about it and all that. But this is where I'm going to look like a genius, okay? Y'all seem to have no problem with taking away the rights of people that live on Indian Rocks Beach. So I, who live on Indian Rocks Beach, take my ATV out and ride it up and down the beach, then maybe y'all will want to start trying to control the motorized vehicles on the beach, because they are dangerous. Second point, last meeting when I came here, y'all, we were talking about another issue that where I felt the riparian rights of the people that live on the beach were taken care of, were being taken away. And I had 3 points that I wanted to bring up. One was, did y'all even know what you were voting on? 2, was there anybody that was taking any money to influence their vote? And 3, did you know that this was showing total disrespect for the people that live on the beach, since none of y'all live on the beach, okay? So I was immediately after making those points, there was a couple of things that happened. City manager said I was starting rumors that people are taking money. No, I'm just asking, because when it comes to short-term rentals, there were people that, we'll go to that on the 24th. But the most important thing was there was a joke made where city commissioners were laughing about taking away my riparian rights. That's an insult, okay? I think as a person who lives on the beach, I deserve an apology. I'm gonna hold my breath and sit in the back room and do my Papa Smurf imitation while I wait for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward at this time? Good
Hi,
evening.
my name's Dave Goodman, 1006 First Street. We bought our home in 2008. It's our retirement home. We love the neighborhood because it
I'm
was.
sorry to interrupt you, sir. Would you mind moving it into the microphone? It's just easier for the minutes.
Okay.
Could you please restate your name and address?
Dave Goodman, 1006 First Street. Okay, we bought our home in 2008 as our retirement home. We love the neighborhood because it was peaceful and quiet, which is what we were looking for. Since then, we've had renters show up across the street. Our neighbors right next to us now rent, and a house behind us, off at an angle, they rent. The house directly behind us is now, they sold their house, and they have one of those rental signs in the front. They've added an addition on the back. They plan on putting in a pool. And a problem that we have in particular is we're up on pilings, which a lot of houses are, and we can see lots of backyards behind our house, but they can also see us. There's nothing to block the noise that we get from these neighboring houses, and nothing to block the light. When it gets to be evening time, they turn on those party lights, those string lights, and they have no means of directing the light downward, and plus they're using it for the short-term rental people who are vacationing. And so I have seen as many as 20 people in one backyard. I've seen a couple people show up at the beginning of the week at one neighbor, and then there's 12 people that leave by the end of the week. We had someone park their car in our front yard. I don't understand why. I had to get them to move it. We had a piece of fruit thrown at our house at one point. We didn't know what it was until the following morning. We just heard a bang. We found the fruit laying in the backyard. One house way behind us, we can't see them, but we can sure hear them. They've had all-day parties. It's a bigger house. I've counted 12 cars in front of their house, like a parking lot, plus on both sides of the street. It's not the same neighborhood that we moved into for our retirement home, and now I'm worried about our property values if we ever go to sell the house to have to move again. And that's about it. And I'm not happy with the situation. I think the only way that we can solve this problem is to stop these 1 week or several day vacation rentals. It needs to go back to some longer period of time, 1 month, 3 months, whatever. Then they won't be out there every week partying every day during the week with their family get-togethers. They have family reunions. I know that for a fact. Sometimes things get pretty loud, out of control. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for coming. Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward at this time? Please come forward.
Hi, I'm Vicki Goonan. I live at 207 15th Avenue, and I'm not a homeowner, but I'm 11 years in the same place I've rented for annual renter. And I have seen the beach change. I've seen more bars show up. Now that we have vacation rentals all the time, people are coming in 2 and 3 times a week. Weekends, we may see one house next to me, 3 people, different people show up. It's gonna be longer terms for, at least a couple months. It's not fair to the ones that stay here. We have to work all day, and I might be up at 2 o'clock in the morning because there's a bonfire next door. I can see the flames over my 6-foot fence. That shouldn't be allowed. And then there's drunks throwing more wood on the fire. And last weekend, my grandkids were there and they were going, "Grandma, there's a fire in the back." Here it was a bonfire. That shouldn't be allowed, but I knew the officers had to deal with the drunks on the road, not a fire yet. The other thing is the signs in the yard right now. They're making it unsafe. The signs that say "We love tourists," They're showing everybody that drives up and down our street that says, this house is empty, you can rent it. Well, that's making me unsafe because now people are gonna come in the neighborhood and go, oh, let's burglarize this house. It's empty. You've got, this weekend, 2 houses down from me, a van pulled in. We had 10 people pull out of that van in a 2-bedroom house. 3 o'clock in the morning, they're hitting the basketballs and everything out in the street. Nobody's doing anything. We're getting away with everything that can be. I get it, they all want to make money, but if they live local, you're still a problem because you're letting people rent your houses. It's not just the businesses, but if you live here and you have a house at your vacation rental, you're also the problem. They're not driving by and checking on the houses. They're not checking to see what kind of people. They got the money in their bank account. Who cares? I get it. I work hard all day. I've got 2 jobs. And the last thing I'm going to deal with is a bunch of people next door. So I can't sleep. I can't enjoy my beach. Thank you so much. And I know you guys have a hard decision, but we'll see you on the 24th for sure.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to come up at this time?
Kelly Watt, 431 Harbor Drive South. I just want to add on to the previous speaker's comments about issues after hours. What do we do about issues after hours that really don't rise to the level of calling a police officer, but do warrant some code enforcement? Our neighbor 2 doors down, the investor was out after hours. They were doing pool construction, and he was hosing off a bunch of concrete into the gutters, going down into the waterways. So my husband said something to him, and he was pretty smart back and said, hey, go get me a broom and I'll be happy to sweep it up and continue to hose it down the road. So obviously you're not gonna call the police on something like that, but we're running into it, other people are running into it, we have a second code enforcement officer. Can we get some code enforcement beyond, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, something on the weekends, something after hours, some other number that we can call so we can address something in a more timely manner? Thank you.
Anyone else like to come up at this time?
Jessica Fodderingham, 2300 First Street. I'm reading this for Stacy Conti. She asked me to read this for her. Pulling it up again. To whom it may concern, I lived on Fort Myers Beach when Hurricane Ian hit and destroyed not only the island, but most of the surrounding area. I'm a single mother with a 15-year-old son. We were devastated. We had nothing left. Not only did we lose our home, we had nowhere to stay. All of the hotels were full, and the apartments left doubled or even tripled their prices. All of the big businesses were taking advantage of people who had lost everything. They had no heart, only wallets. Stacy Conti called me to check on me, knowing I'd lived on the island. I told her everything that was happening. She was a small vacation rental company and offered a place for me and anyone else that needed it. I can't begin to express what a blessing, I'm sorry, hold on. I can't begin to express what a blessing it was to have a roof over our heads while I tried to figure out how to put our lives back together. So many of us were left homeless after Ian. If it wasn't for the amazing people like Stacy who have a heart and a small vacation rental, I'm sure many more would still be homeless. With full sincerity, Jackie L. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up at this time? Scott?
Scott Shapiro, 2032 20th Avenue Parkway. Almost 23 years ago, I bought my first house here in IRB. A little more than 4 years after that, I bought my second house that I currently live in. The first house has been a rental for 18 years. It's been a long-term rental. The first year I rented it, it was $1,200 a month, and I was making money. And then the taxes went up. and the insurance. And I lost money almost every year after that, with the exception of the last maybe 4 or 5. It's okay, it was a passive loss, and we all know how we use those passive losses, but at the end of the day, it's about cash flow. In the last 2 years, my tax and insurance on that property have gone up $4,000. Now, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to pass that on to my tenants? Of course I am, right? I could short-term rental it and make money. I mean, I have that right under the law. It's a right that exists. I don't want my rights taken away. So it's kind of a conundrum. When I moved here 23 years ago, we had a lot of small mom-and-pop motels on the beach. We all remember them. There was some down at the end of 20th. I knew the owners. They sold. It was because of the highest and best use tax fiasco, if you guys remember that. They were forced to sell. Now we have big box condos there. So where are these people supposed to go on vacation? There's a vacuum. Where do they go? Demand suddenly diminished. They no longer want to come to the beach? Of course they do. Airbnb is no different than Uber. It just is a function of the free markets that was created. We can't go back in history, as Randy said, you know, the genie's out of the bottle. We got to live with what we have. I talk to these people. I see them. For as long as I lived here, I always ask, where are you from? I like to know where people are from. I now ask them, are you staying in an Airbnb? And 90% of them say yes. And I ask them, have they been here before? And most of them have been here before and been coming for years. In the last 6 months, I've been asking different questions and getting different responses. I heard people say, well, we don't feel welcome, we see the signs, we might go somewhere else next time. I'm not on social media, so I don't know the chatter that's going on Facebook, but I hear it's pretty ugly. Now, I'm pretty well traveled. I've been to more than 25 countries, and I wouldn't go somewhere that I felt unwanted. I never go anywhere with the idea that I'm going to be an a-hole and commit crimes and disturb the peace. When people go on vacation, they go to spend money. They're putting money in our local economy. I challenge every commissioner up there to go talk to our businesses. They're afraid to come and speak. They don't want to come out and speak because they don't want to be taken as, oh, they're pro or they're con. But the truth is, 30 to 70% of their business comes from tourists. Now, if I'm a big watcher of YouTube, I watch all kinds of YouTube, I follow all kinds of people living all around the world, living different lives. And if you Google Indian Rocks Beach or YouTube Indian Rocks Beach, you'll see a bunch of people in the last several years that document their vacations here. That document staying in an Airbnb right in our town, kayaking, fishing, enjoying life here, flying from San Francisco. I'm going to send you 2 videos. The last one that I just recently found, they stayed in an Airbnb in Clearwater the year before, and then one from 1954 from St. Petersburg on tourism. And in 1954, Indian Rocks Beach was one of only 2 beaches mentioned. So I studied finance as an undergrad, but I can't do math very well. That's like, what, 100 years ago? I mean, so people have been coming here for a long time. We can't put the genie back in the bottle, but the majority of the people are well-behaved, credit-worthy, good people. And it's not fair to paint them all with a broad brush. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Hi, Jonathan.
Jonathan Fansfield, 448 Howard Drive South.
Stop it, okay? There's no interrupting while we're having this. You know you have to at least 4 times already. Stop.
Good evening. I hope you had a happy holidays. I was at a wonderful party New Year's Day, and I was talking to somebody who's a homeowner on Harbor Drive, and she said something that startled me. She was so outraged about the incredible increase of traffic. The cars, the trucks, the golf carts, the bicycles, the hordes of people. And I thought I'd look into that. Well, it turns out there are at least 37 lodgings for transients in the Harbor Drive neighborhood. One advertises sleeps 10. Most of them are more than that, 16, 18, and on. If you pull out your calculator and take a look at it, even at a 50% occupancy rate, guess how many strangers are coming into that neighborhood that would have never been there? 20,000, actually over 20,000 transients, 20,000 strangers going next to your homes each year. But let me just digress for a moment. I want you to keep that in mind as you're looking at the regulations. Parking, noise, and all that, those are important, but there's a lot more to it. There's 2 facts after listening to what we just heard. Businesses like this Any kind of business does not belong in a residential park, in a residential zoned area. This is absurd. How can you argue that? And the second thing is, if there are only a few bad people, then why do 100 people have signs? Why did these people come up here? It's just absurd claiming that. So, let me end on a slightly lighter note. We've seen the battle of signs that's transpired over the last week. And it looks like some of the investors have taken a page out of our playbook and are putting signs up that say, let me see if I get this right, it's so funny. Our home is your home. Now, it would be more accurate and truthful if they go, this is actually not a home, this is a house. It used to be a home, and if you pay me $1,000 or whatever a night, you can stay here. However, my home is not next to this hotel, and you cannot stay in my home. So I thank you again for taking steps to protect our actual homes and restoring tranquility to IRB neighborhoods. And we can put this genie back in the bottle. It was done by bad legislation. We all know the cause of that. We can get our 3 months back. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Who'd like to come up next? Hi, RB.
Good evening, R.B. Johnson, 1206 Beach Trail. My family has been renting cottages to vacationers over the course of 8 years in Indian Rocks Beach, all on the west side of Gulf Boulevard. Until recently, this fit into a business model where small groups of vacationers rented relatively small units, whether cottages, motel rooms, or condo units. Any disturbing behavior was tamped down by motel or condo rules, or was practically non-existent at cottages due to their small size. But now we have entire houses, some quite large, being rented to vacationers on both sides of Gulf Boulevard. This new business model has brought with it unregulated behavior that has disturbed the peace of our neighborhoods. Because of this behavior, it behooves the city to act in a more proactive way towards vacation rentals than it has in the past. Vacation renters are our guests, and they should therefore adhere to what I call, with apologies to Immanuel Kant, the categorical imperative for visitors. Don't act in such a way that you will bother your neighbors. It's a matter of simple civility which must be enforceable by law. The residents of Indian Rocks Beach are looking forward to new rules that will protect their peace deep into the future. Thank you for your work on this pressing issue.
Thank you, RB. Is there anyone else who'd like to come up at this time?
Dan Doherty, 317 Harbor Drive. I will be brief. I was in front of the commission a few months ago when this dialogue first started. And I have been so impressed by my neighbors, Bob Copeland, Kelly, John Fansel. And I think the thing that's most impressive is that my sense of the committee's views at that point in time is our hands are tied, go to Tallahassee. And if nothing has been presented, is that your hands are not tied. And I hope in 2 weeks we'll find out just how much we're able to do. And given the time of the year and the football season, we're in the red zone. So all the work and all the speeches and everything else up to this point comes down to the decisions and actions you take in the next 2 weeks. These are not homeowners and residents. These are businesses. We need to treat them like businesses and hold them to business standards with the strictest regulations that we can possibly put in place. I believe it was Randy who referenced we have choices at one of the meetings. He said we have Coca-Cola red can, we have Diet Coke, we have Coke Zero. And someone came back and said, Randy, you got to start thinking about Red Bull. We have got to push it as far as we think and then push it farther. And so again, I thank you for your attention to this, for coming to the acknowledgement that your hands weren't changed, taking responsible action. But right now it's go time. And it is critically important that you find the courage inside to implement the most strict regulations possible. And we have given you many, many examples of that. So thank you very much, and I look forward to being here again in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Dan. Is there anyone else who'd like
Is
to
the
come
meeting at
forward?
5 o'clock on the 24th,
Yes, it is.
not 7?
Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward at this time? Anyone else who'd like to come forward during public comment? Jerry?
Jerry Newton, 438 Harbor Drive North. I've heard it mentioned but not stressed. Are we aware of how many of these homes have been converted into bunkhouses? You know how many garages have been converted into bedrooms with double bunk beds or whatever they can jam in there? Are all these people permitted to do this? I think we still have building codes that have to be adhered to. It's not like we're not aware of this. I know for a fact the commission has been given information to that effect. And what does it take to get the county involved? I know, like, we don't control building codes. Well, who does? The county, right? So are we petitioning the county to enforce these rules? How can I go up and down the street and see what used to be a garage door now be a window? And wonder how many people we can jam into this home? That's one big problem right there. If that was a 3-bedroom house with 6 people, we'd be light years ahead of where we stand right here. Okay? Why can't we just enforce that? That's 100% enforceable. Check the building codes, check the permits. Have these people adhere to what the, and by the way, when the 1,600 square foot home adds a bedroom, do we not understand now it's a 1,800 foot home? Well, I don't see that reflected on the property record. I don't see that reflected on the tax rolls. Come on, guys. There's a lot of things that can be done. Let's get to it. This is ridiculous. We need to move forward.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak at this time? Hearing none, I'm going to close the public comment. We're going to move to reports of the city attorney. Randy, do you have a report tonight?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager Greg Mims, do you have a report?
I provided my writing. It's in the packet.
Okay, we'll go to the commission. We'll start with Jude. Do you have a report tonight?
I have no report.
Mr. McCall?
Just real quick, we'd just like to mention the HOA is starting their mix and mingles again for 2023. For those of us in the community, if you'd like to come out, it will be at the new establishment LTC, which if you haven't been, fantastic. But it will be on the 19th. So come out, enjoy, meet your neighbors.
What a joke.
Thank you. Bill?
Nothing to talk about.
Denise?
I got to preview the Cocoa Crush last Friday. They're gonna open in 6 weeks. That looks pretty nice in there. I think it's gonna be a good addition to the beach.
Thank you. Just one, I do Monday with the mayor, and I will be having Monday with the mayor from 4 to 6, Monday, the 16th, if anyone would like to stop by. Depending on how many people are here, I usually do 15 minutes between each person, so if anyone would like to stop by. The other thing I would like to say to everybody is, we're not gonna have this at the 24th meeting. I'm gonna let you know that right now. If I have to bring in more police, we're not gonna clap after every single person. We're not gonna say outrageous things back and forth. That's not how people do, we're not gonna do business that way. So I would like for all of you to be respectful of each other, and the commission and the staff will also be respectful of you, okay? Thank you. With that, we're gonna move. Yeah, Phil said he, okay.
Thank you.
Are there any additions and deletions tonight? Hearing none, we will go on to the consent agenda. Randy, would you please read that?
Happily, Madam Mayor, there's one item on the consent agenda. Item A, approval of the December 13, 2022 regular city commission meeting minutes.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Ian, would you please call the roll? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Public hearing, we are on 6A, ordinance number 2023-01. It's a second and final reading. Randy, would you please read the ordinance?
Happily, Madam Mayor, this is City of Indian Rocks Beach ordinance number 2023-01. An ordinance of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 50, Solid Waste, Article 2, Collection and Disposal, Division 3, Fees and Charges, Section 50-91 Fee Schedule, to remove the fee schedule from the codified portion of the city's ordinances, providing for the subsequent adoption of a resolution setting forth the applicable fee schedule, providing for severability, providing for the repeal of ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, and providing for an effective date. This has been the second and final reading of ordinance 2023-01 by title only, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Dan, is there anything you'd like to present and add to this? For
No,
those of
ma'am,
you who don't know Dan is our finance director.
I don't think to add. I'll be glad to answer any questions or argue at this time.
Hearing none, I'll open for, do any of the commissioners have any comments at this moment? Hearing none, I'll open the public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak on ordinance number 2023-01? Hearing none, I'll close the public comment, and I'm looking for a motion.
I'll motion to approve ordinance 2023-01.
I'll second that.
Is there a second?
Yeah,
Thank
I'll
you.
definitely second.
Is there any comments from either the maker or the second?
No.
Thank you. Deanne, would you please call the roll? Commissioner Hannah?
Yes.
Commissioner Hausberg?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hausberg, sorry about that. Commissioner Bond?
Yes.
Commissioner McCall?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy? Yes, motion carries. Move on to other legislative matters, 7A, resolution number 2023-01. Randy, would you please read the resolution?
Happily, Madam Mayor, this is City of Indian Rocks Beach resolution number 2023-01. A resolution of the City of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, enumerating the different types of residential and commercial solid waste collection methods and setting the schedule of fees for the collection and disposal of garbage, trash, and solid waste in the City of Indian Rocks Beach, pursuant to Chapter 50, Solid Waste, Article 2, Collection and Disposal, Division 3, Fees and Charges, Section 50-91 Fee Schedule, and providing for an effective date. This has been a reading of resolution number 2023-01 by title only.
Thank you, Randy. Danny, is there any other things that you'd like to present with this?
No, ma'am. I think we've been through this. We workshopped it.
Correct.
This is obviously tied to the recycling cost, the increase within the solid waste fund. So again, I'm here and glad to answer any questions if there are any at this time.
Any questions for Dan at this time? Hearing none, I'm going to open the public comment. Is there anyone who would like to speak on resolution number 2023-01 at this time concerning recycling?
Kelly Sistrick, 448 Harbor Drive South. I just want to say that I've always been concerned that when they pick up a recycling load, that it really goes to get recycled and not goes to the dump. So I'd like to see some controls put in place and a report from the company that we signed up with to let us know when a load is contaminated and not eligible to be recycled. There's other alternatives, you know, like just doing cardboard and aluminum, which are always economically viable. And if the plastics and the glass aren't working for us, then I think, you know, you need to have more information from the recycling company, or somebody follow them and see if they're going to the dump or to the recycling center. And if it's not viable, you know, I don't know if this is a one-year contract or not, but if it's not viable, just go to cardboard and aluminum in the future. And
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ted.
May I speak to this?
In 1 second. We'll wait. We will speak to that. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak speak at this time? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment. Do you want to address those questions that were brought up here?
I'll wait until you finish this.
Okay, and, I'm looking for a motion first.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-01.
And is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second, okay, any comments from the maker or the second?
None from me.
Okay, Jude,
Yeah,
you have to speak in.
Yeah, sorry. I would like to let you know, Kelly, that I had personally done a tour of the recycling facility when this first came up, when we were looking at different options, when we were looking at renegotiating the contract. I went and did the tour, and I'd be happy to go on it with you again too. But I can assure you that it's all being handled very properly and appropriately and with great intent.
Thank you, Jude. Is there anyone else who'd like to add to that? Greg,
Sounds good.
you're good? Okay. Deanne, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Hannah,
Yes.
Commissioner McCall,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Houseman,
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy.
Yes, motion carries. I just want to add that they were here. We had a lengthy discussion with them at a commission meeting, so pretty much everything that you asked was answered at that meeting, so just so you know. Okay, work session items, we do not have any. Is there any other business to come before this board? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you for coming tonight.
We clap now?
Yes, you can.